if it's anybody's fault, it's his fault or his coach's fault.
What up, everyone? Shakiel Mahjouri here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. He is the reigning BMF champion, defending that title against Max Holloway at UFC 300 on Saturday. His strikes are as vicious as my wife's insults, but we're not here to talk about that today. Justin Gaethje, how's it going, my man?
I'm great, man. Great. Out here in Vegas, just enjoying the ride.
I know what a ride it is, and it's going to be ahead of this milestone card. But before we get there, I want to get a little more detail on one of my favorite Justin Gaethje stories. You were on TMZ Sports, and you told the story about being on a college campus, and this huge fight breaks out. Some guy starts kneeing some fat kid next to you. You try and defend the kid. You knock out the aggressor. You know, his knees go sideways, and they all start chasing you, right? You're hiding in a tree, but the guy kind of cut you off before I could hear the rest of it. What was going through your mind hiding in that tree, and what happened after you sprinted home?
I was hiding in a tree, and I was like, God, I hope these guys don't find me, because there was multiple of them. And I sure as heck was not as confident in my ability to defend myself back then. That was pretty much the first dude that I ever punched. I was surprised he went to sleep, but it was an awesome feeling. But I wasn't sure if I was ready to fight five guys. But I ran home, and then it's actually how I met one of my friends. They came to the house, and they were like, I want to fight one-on-one, and so I was like, all right, let's do it. And then they saw that I was ready to fight, and they backed down, and they were like, all right, we're good. And I became friends with that guy. So yeah, it's a cool story.
Did you ever find out the identity of the guy you KO'd? Because I feel like we kind of owe your
No,
career to him.
no, I did not. I did not want him to know I was the guy that punched him. Although people didn't press charges as much back then, but it wasn't the social media age quite yet. It was 2007. So yeah, times are different, but yeah, if I did that nowadays, I'm sure I'd be in a little bit of trouble, even though he did deserve it.
Well, that man can hang his hat on being like in a list of victims like Dustin Poirier and Michael Johnson. So I don't think there's any shame there,
Yeah,
really.
that's not one thing you want to be first at, but that was him.
We got the Holloway fight coming up, and one sort of narrative around it as well. When Max fought Dustin Poirier up a division, he didn't look quite as durable. He didn't look quite as powerful, and that's a sort of sentiment that Max has been pushing back against. I'm curious, how accurate of a reflection do you think that fight was to how this one might play out?
Yeah, I think Max is correct. People kind of forget that that was a late replacement fight. He was supposed to fight Tony Ferguson. So this is very different circumstances. And Max is a big guy. I think he probably, even at 145, walks around heavier than I do. And he's just as tall or taller than me. And I think he's going to be, I think he's ready for this fight at this weight class. I'm hoping it makes him a little bit slower, but time will tell.
A lot has been said about his durability and how Max has never been stopped. And I know you're thinking, it might not be a clean finish, maybe some sort of doctor stoppage. I am curious, how high would the accomplishment of stopping Max Holloway via strikes be for you in your long record of finishes?
Yeah, it would be huge. I mean, they said Fiziev was the best kickboxer striker in the UFC, and I think there's a good argument to be said for that. But my coach is phenomenal. The things that we've worked on for 12 years now and my athletic ability is something that you cannot replicate. These guys cannot replicate that in their training, and my ability to create angles, judge distance is second to none. And my reaction time is definitely second to none. It's what I rely on the most. And I think it's why I am who I am and why I'm able to create so much damage in fights. And I see myself, I have a lot of confidence in my training and my preparations for this fight. I think, the interval training that I've been putting myself through to be ready for a cardiovascular, 5-round fight is something I'm confident in, and that's going to help me, perform.
What would you say are the three victories you're most proud of on your record?
Ooh, I think the Michael Johnson fight, only because, he was ranked number 5 at the time. And that was my first time fighting in the UFC, first time fighting in front of the UFC crowd, and it was such an exciting fight. I got 2 bonuses that night, so I'm definitely proud of that one. The James Vick fight, coming off 2 losses, I thought, especially at the time, with me not being, you know, as big or in the UFC as I was, I figured one more loss and I was out of here. I was the underdog in that fight at the time, and that was a big win for me. And then the Dustin Poirier fight, getting redemption is something that we never get an opportunity for in this fight game, and that was a good one.
As far as you were sort of like verbally, kind of casually told, when Oliveira and Makhachev were scheduled to fight in October, you were supposed to kind of get the winner for February. Why is it that the UFC didn't book you versus Makhachev anyway in February? I know, Oliveira's in the mix, but if they had that sort
Yeah,
of
I
in the
mean,
plan.
I guess the answer probably lies in why didn't Makhachev fight in February, and I don't know the answer to that.
Okay,
So,
that's fair.
and then when he didn't fight in February, I guess the UFC or definitely not myself didn't know when he was gonna fight. And then, I was under the impression that when he did fight, it would be against Oliveira. And then they scheduled a Tsarukyan Oliveira fight, and so I figured if I want to jump in front of those guys, or not even in front of those guys, but I just want to make a case that I should be that guy. I think perfect scenario. They're calling that the title eliminator. So the winner fights him next, which is June, July, and then I fight the winner of that fight in November, Madison Square Garden. That's kind of what I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
speak into reality.
Yeah, you've been doing it for months, and I know there is the Oliveira and the Gaethje camps. I'm not saying this just because you're here, and I've already upset a lot of Oliveira fans. I like fresh matchups. I wish we could just get to Makhachev versus Gaethje
Yeah,
already.
no, I mean he
Yeah.
got finished quick, and then he had his opportunity, and he got cut. It's not necessarily his fault, but if it's anybody's fault, it's his fault or his coach's fault. And so, yeah, it is what it is.
Are we holding firm for the Makhachev fight if you beat Holloway, like even if it's later than November?
Yeah, I don't see why it would be any later than the end of this year. He's going to fight again in June, July, and I'm going to fight the winner of that fight.
On that note, what do we make of Islam calling out Dustin Poirier for a fight in June? Because I mean, like, come on.
I mean, it's just, I mean, he has to fight somebody, and it is hard for him to believe that Saruki and Oliveira, me or Holloway would be ready or want to fight in June. I'm not sure why June is his date, especially with this fight happening now. It could be July, August. But I think it's all what ifs. Even in his mind, it's what ifs, and you can't have a fight if you don't have an opponent. So I think if I'm Makhachev, I want to take that fight because I think that I win that fight and I get paid the same, and it's a title defense. So yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with him doing that, but he's gonna have to fight the winner of Saruki and Oliveira in June, July, and then the winner of that fight's gonna have to fight me in November.
Hey, I don't know if you're a gambling man, but over under one, what are the chances that Justin Gaethje scores a submission victory from now until the end of his career?
Oh shoot. Over under one?
Yeah, you're gonna get one from now till then?
I mean, I have been training a lot on my jujitsu and my submission grappling. I actually got my manager first time in 12 years that I've been training with him to tap last night.
You
I don't
tapped
know if he'll
Ali?
admit that. Yeah,
Okay, we'll have to
last
ask him.
night, but probably zero, probably under.
Well, we got the takedown, so I feel like we have to sort of move the goalpost now and go after the
Yeah, no,
next. So.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's gonna be same thing with Oliveira. I'm gonna have to hurt them. They're gonna have to go down, and then I'm gonna get a submission from there. It's not gonna be something that I'm attacking, without causing massive damage to strikes.
Last thing on the lightweight title picture before we wrap up on some other stuff. The last time you and I talked was ahead, or sorry, it was, I think at the time we were still maybe looking at Oliveira, Makhachev, to, it was definitely before Volkanovski got the second fight.
Yeah.
And at the time you had said that I know for a fact Islam is not Khabib. I'm curious. Obviously, Volk stepped in on super short notice, but has your opinion of Makhachev's quality changed at all since he beat Volkanovski the second time?
I don't think I said for sure. I think I said for sure, and then I said, well, I guess I hope that he's not because that was a very tough fight for me. I don't know, man. I think he's great. I mean, I think he's going to be hard to beat. Um, but he's not invincible. He knows that. I know that. The world knows it because he's been beat before, and I think that's the biggest difference.
How would we feel about Mark Coleman wrapping the BMF title around your waist on
I would love
Saturday?
that. Yeah, I would love that, especially with what he just went through. Sounds like a bad motherfucker to me.
I agree. What was your reaction to that whole situation?
I mean, how do you react? I mean, I don't know him personally, but to know that's somebody that you want to be. That's somebody you want to have in your group. Someone that's going to put themselves in front of anybody else or anything else to save people. I believe and I hope that that would be my actions, and every person that I surround myself, that would be their actions. Especially when it comes to your mother and father. I mean, that better be your actions, or I definitely don't want you in my group. So yeah, like I said, to BMF, the definition of that, and it sucks that he lost his dog. I'm a dog person, but I just was, sorry for him. Sucks that he had to go through that. Sucks that his parents had to go through that. Sucks that he lost his dog, but to come out on top is perfect. I'm glad that that was the outcome.
Have you heard anything about if he's actually going to get to do it on Saturday?
I haven't heard anything. I
I hope so.
as much as I hope so. I mean, I'm not worried about who's wrapping it around.
Yeah,
I gotta be very focused, but I think it would be much better for me than Masvidal putting that thing around me. I promise you that.